Something I get a real kick out of is reviewing YouTubers as regular pieces of media because, what's your question, Derek?
Why are you T-posing?
Well, I'm a PNG YouTuber, and in an effort to not fall into stereotypes, I have taken a sacred oath to never cross my arms, and I am in fact going to do the opposite of cross my arms.
Wait, what? Oh, right. You're a PNG. Oh god. We're all PNGs.
Yep, every one of us. Except for JPEG over there, I don't know what he is.
I don't know. I've never had.
Who reviews the reviewer? I do, apparently. TB as a connoisseur of character design, fittingly employs a character design of his own, and his sensibilities really shine through. Being a commentator who makes critiques the way he does immediately implies intellect and intellectual stimulation, so naturally, any fitting character design needs to betray TB intelligence. The original puppet TB used was simple in its design philosophy, reminiscent of many a doodled self-portrait by aspiring web cartoonists. It has a feeling of youthfulness to it, not only in the charming sketchiness, but also in the trendier shape of the glasses, slim silhouette, and pointy hair that evokes that look of a youngster in many a manga. I also make note of the pencil scratch rendered facial hair that evokes more scraggle than full beard. I have a soft spot for the jagged, Newgrounds reminiscent style and have a love for all things amateur, but I definitely see the value in his new design. The simple curve or V on the torso that gave the impression of a t-shirt has been replaced with a nice clear opening which gives the character a sense of depth without cluttering the art, and this tastefully rendered collar does away with the t-shirt of the original and gives the design an impression of maturity and professionalism without being stuffy or over-serious. These huge, perfectly circular glasses give big librarian energy, in contrast to the previous incarnation's hipster vibe, and the bushy beard reminds one of a bust made of a Greek philosopher. Hatching is used to tastefully add a sense of color to the hair and facial hair without actually using color, again keeping visual clutter to a minimum. The thought process behind this redesign must have been make it rounder. Where the original design was almost entirely points and sharp edges, this new design is extremely rounded, with his head, his glasses, and even his shoulders being markedly rounded off compared to the original. Combined with the other features, this version of the character has much less of a standoffish, debate-me attitude, and strikes me as more of a wise, professional, and yet still jovial and playful nerd, which is everything we love about TB Skin. I tried to copy his cadence a little bit. Oh shit. You know what I just realized? A lot of these changes in character design probably were just changes in the person. Fuck. How did I only just realize this? Something I get a real kick out of is reviewing YouTubers as regular pieces of media, because arguably the vast majority of YouTubers are reviewers, or in the media analysis sphere in general. Obviously, reviewing a review show isn't the most original concept, but I think it's especially interesting in today's environment. With greater access to creative tools and animation software than ever, more and more often the people doing commentary on art and media are doing so through art of their own. People are analyzing and reviewing stories and art direction with the backing of their own storytelling and art direction. So, while reviewing the reviewers would at one time have been a joke about cultural implosion, it's now becoming something more valid. So, something that's been on my mind for a while is the fact that so many YouTubers have character designs. In some cases, YouTubers who specifically discuss character designs fittingly employ a design of their own. We might sometimes miss this fact because of how often YouTubers are just people giving their opinions. Like how we wouldn't describe Siskel and Ebert's dress sense as their character design, but so often YouTubers portray themselves with cartoon personas or adopt an identity so far removed from their real self that, on some level, they are playing a character and therefore are employing character design. You all know the cliche, all the world is a stage and all the men and women merely players. When we present ourselves to each other, we put a certain foot forward, and content creation is no exception. Even when a YouTuber doesn't particularly play a character or use a persona, they are still selecting a certain aspect of themselves to put forward. We often don't consider Let's Players as actors playing characters, even though they often employ pseudonyms and dress for the occasion. Ah, the Nostalgia Critic, an icon of classic YouTube, even though it was only through re-uploads back then. Don't get me wrong, the show has its ups and downs, emphasis on downs in my opinion, but it's still peak internet nostalgia. Ironic, right? Something I think we fail to appreciate about the Nostalgia Critic is that it's absolutely peak character design. Remember, the original joke when it came to the Nostalgia Critic is that he is a poor excuse for a critic, even if Doug Walker tries to be a more serious reviewer these days. With this in mind, the genius behind the Nostalgia Critic's design is made clear. He is a fraud. Again, the character, not Doug Walker, alright? The Nostalgia Critic wears a white t-shirt and jeans, the most guy-man-dude outfit imaginable, but with a black hat, jacket, and necktie hastily thrown on top of it. It's giving, I was running late for a job interview, but didn't have a clean collared shirt, so I just threw something together. The character design works so well because the layers of the character are so clear. An average Joe lazily disguised as a professional. Now, this may not have been the intention of Doug Walker, but it's perfect how it tells you everything you need to know about the character just by looking at him. Speaking of unintentional, Doug Walker has stated that the Nostalgia Critic's personality and mannerisms were influenced by Daffy Duck, and with his black attire and baseball cap giving the vague silhouette of a curved beak, the Nostalgia Critic has always come across to me as vaguely avian, which is hilarious. YouTubers like Doodly have really mastered the integration of character design and commentary, and is, I think, a prime example of what makes this new era of YouTube so exciting. As a channel that largely makes instructional content about the art of animation, Doodly is a genius character design. He's present, certainly, giving you a friendly face to latch onto, but he's also very inconspicuous. Flat, monochrome, and with just enough shapes to give the impression of a face. Would you have listened to him if he looked like this? He's just the right level of detail to have a personality without so much detail that he draws your attention away. Gimberly is the perfect companion for him, much more tangible with her right and left sides clearly labeled in red and blue. An absolutely brilliant way to explain and demonstrate animation concepts, and she's proof that adding characters and narrative into commentary and educational content is not only a way to make videos more eye-catching and fun to watch, but can also be critical in the process of communicating ideas. I think Doodly put it best when explaining how his style of content was inspired by Bill Nye the Science Guy.
The best comparison I can make is that instead of a college lecture that meticulously explains everything, I want it to be more like a Bill Nye video. Physical, visual demonstrations with lots of personality. I think doing it that way helps audiences connect and understand the concept a lot more quickly than they would otherwise.
This is going to sound like an insult, but I swear I mean it as a compliment when I say that the Odd Ones Out is the ultimate default player character. The design is simple, almost to the point of being bland. It rides such a fine line between being nothing and being functionally just enough. The white blobby shape is ideal for illustrating and animating quickly, and the huge face and massive mouth allow for big, easily readable expressions. This persona is the embodiment of the blank slate. Not that James has no personality, but in the sense that his persona invites projection, which is the crux of his content. He tells relatable stories that, while having details unique to him, are popular because they are relatable, and without a strong character design to make the Odd Ones Out overly distinct, we're encouraged to focus on the experiences he's sharing rather than on just him as an individual. When I say the Odd Ones Out looks like the default player character, this analogy is mostly born from the fact that the other Storytime animators that are all audibly inspired by him at one point or another looked like customized versions of him. Many Storytime animators started out essentially taking James's persona and throwing hair and clothes on top of it. Of course, many of them eventually created their own styles, with Jaden quickly becoming lankier and trading mouth space for eye space, Rebecca of Let Me Explain Studios ditching the mouth entirely in exchange for a strong brow, and Something Else YT going heavy on points, sharp edges, and extra lankiness, almost becoming an anti-Odd Ones Out. In a way, becoming the exact opposite of what inspired him. But it's undeniable the influence that the Odd Ones Out art style and character design had on the burgeoning Storytime animator genre, so when I say his persona is giving default character, I don't say it as an insult, but as a sheer triumph on James's part. It is a genius character design, whether he knew it or not when he made it. I think some people treat YouTube as a compromise, a place to go when you aren't good enough at art to be an artist, but think you know enough about art to talk about it, and I think that's probably a bad way to think about YouTube, and not a great mindset for success. Sure, most of us make derivative content, riding off of popular topics and other artists for attention, but that doesn't mean you can't bring art to your content, or hell, even use content creation as an excuse to get better at art. Listen, I have no delusions of being a great artist, but I do have delusions that I've become a better artist than when I started this channel. Having goals and having concrete things to get across and express has been a fun, ongoing exercise for me. Of course, when it comes to practice, nothing beats practice, but it's fun to try and apply some of that practice in my commentary. Honestly, I couldn't imagine doing this channel with pure, disembodied voice essays. Doing it through this cartoon persona just adds what the French call a certain I don't know what. So yeah, I think it's awesome that so many YouTubers use character designs to express their opinions, and that it's a great show of creativity and a bed for developing skill. Basically, just because your content is derivative, it doesn't mean you can't put a little bit of yourself into it. In fact, I think it's crucial if you want to be a YouTuber. And even if you don't want YouTube to be your final destination as a creator, you should look at it as a legitimate place to stop and develop skills along the way. So, that's going to do it for today's lecture. Any questions? Yes, Jay, what is it?
Did you know?
Hey there, thanks for watching this month's episode of Professor Preston. There will be another episode next month, but in the meantime, I'm making plenty of YouTube shorts and the occasional comic. If you want more footage and also early access, you should check out my Patreon, where you can get early access to these episodes, as well as have these episodes extended. Currently on Patreon, there is an extended version of this episode where I review more character designs, including explaining the history of some of the character designs that I made for Derek and JPEG and the like. So if that sounds interesting to you, consider checking out my Patreon. But if not, subscribing would be much appreciated. Until next time.